Hi, this is Dr. Dharm Sidhu from Vancouver, and I have my friend Dr. Adrienne Wood from Nova Scotia. And this is part two of the anger talk. So, what I've learned, because I've numbed my anger so much that as I'm backtracking to it, there are a lot of like numb layers that I had to go through. And then I find that when I do finally find an emotion, um, there's a whole package of like anger that's like smoke coming out of my ears. And then there's the justification feeling. But someone is to blame feeling. And
Mhm.
in some instances, like for me, I was in a bad marriage. Even though as a grown up, I was still being kind of victimized by my culture, my environment. There's not much choice I have. So some situation, it could still be valid that you are being victimized. But by processing our anger and the grief under it, at least we're not holding on to the pain. That's what I'm trying to probably say here.
Yeah.
What do I do with that? Like I'm like, oh, I feel justified, but this is a bad emotion.
Mhm.
How do you work with that? Because I feel trapped. I keep circling through it.
Yeah, I feel like what I do that I find helpful is I get out my journal or a pen and paper and I
Right.
start writing out all of the shoulds
Oh,
or the
sweet.
should nots. Like
Yes.
they should have done that or
Yes.
should have done this or shouldn't have done this or should have done this differently. And
Yeah.
I write out as many of those and let myself feel
Feel.
all of that justification and all
Yeah.
that anger and all that righteousness.
Yeah.
They feel very righteous in that place.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have ever said that. So I,
Yeah.
I kind of like list those one by one, and it helps stir things up inside of me.
And it feels like I do really believe this.
Yeah.
But I guess the intention matters. If the intention is, what I've learned is I still have to release those justification physically, like I need to release it from my soul. So then I'm kind of like, okay, my goal is to own and release and not hold on to it. Like, ooh, what is that sticky spot right there? I
Yeah.
can take a lot of experimentation workout. But
Yeah.
what have you learned over time? Like, does it leave you? Do you feel
Yeah, and if I go into that process with the intention and awareness that there is a pain under the anger or a false belief,
yes,
again, that is in me. And
yes,
so when I go through that process, knowing that there's something, again, it's like an excavation process. So
yes,
like looking for that. So I find that when I kind of set that intention and I have that awareness and I'm looking for something inside of me, writing those shoulds or should nots and letting myself feel the anger will ultimately touch on the
yes,
pain or the false beliefs
yes,
under it. But I have to go into it with that intention. If I were to go
yes.
into it with the intention of just wanting to be mad and even if I just say, "Oh, this is just an anger release, and I want to have an anger release,"
No, you
sure, it might
can.
it might release temporarily that anger, but it's not going to excavate anything. It's not going to lead to the cause of that
True.
anger. So it really depends on our intentions and our motivations in the process as well.
So I'm unpacking power addiction, which got created for very various reasons in me as a child. Which, part of the journey is to see how I got created and the compassion for like, yeah, I see what happened here. So in the unpacking of it, there's a lot of like how, as a child, I had to generate anger to feed into the sense of power, so I can say, back off, don't mess with me.
Because
That
because you could avoid pain from creating
Yes. Oh, but I'm
that
not allowed to
response.
process. So in some situation, the child is not allowed to process or even
Yeah.
acknowledge that there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
So, but once this starts happening in a child, you're an adult now. So now as an adult, I hold on to my anger to keep generating the sense of power because it's now automatic. It's now become what you think is normal. And so when I'm trying to own my anger, I do notice over time going, it keeps going back into projected anger. This is feeding the power addiction. This is keeping the power addiction alive. I gotta um, unpack the anger again, keeping like what you said, keeping myself aware. Am I feeding back into the power addiction, or am I fully owning anger so that I can get under it, which is usually a lot of fear? Um, I do benefit from the false belief work right now. So when I feel an anger, I'll go, what's the false belief? And then, well, the false belief is um, people shouldn't hurt me. False belief is bad stuff shouldn't have happened to me. That's the one I've been working on past week. And by going into it, um, then I can say, I can't demand that people shouldn't hurt me because then I'm holding on to anger and I'm seeing how much damage it's causing. And then I can go into, wow, I can't expect that people don't hurt me. That's rough. So when we find a false belief and we go, I have to let this go, it can get pretty dark for a lot of people, like heavy despair. What has your experiences been?
Yeah, when I've encountered my false beliefs to date, it sometimes feels like I almost get punched in the face of like, I can't
Yeah,
demand that people don't hurt me. Like, what do you mean? And so then there's anger
anger.
even there.
Exactly.
Eh, um,
I find that anger productive because you're actually now uh, recognizing I'm going to have to give this up. You got to be kidding me.
yes,
That's
yeah,
actually the unpacking.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of the you're now looking at this false belief full on, and part of me knows, like, that it's false, and
Yes.
yeah, and you're gonna have to let it go, um, and you're gonna have to let go everything that comes with that belief,
Yes.
and if I can really get into it, it will bring up the pain
Yes.
of people can and will hurt
Did
me,
and did.
like they did, and they can, and it will happen again, and that's just gonna, like, that's allowed.
And
And
that despair and the
yeah,
rage, I feel like maybe that's when I hit the childhood rage.
yeah,
That's when that rage comes up.
yeah,
And it feels darker. And it gets pretty dark. Like sometimes I can even get suicidal because it's so dark. But it feels like now I've hit the teenage, now I hit the child. And then but we like I basically tell myself, just give the justification a minute. Just give the what do you mean I have to give that up? Just give that a minute. Or sometimes if it's really important, I will stay with the question until I feel that life has resolved it, or my guide has resolved it, or God has somehow taught me why letting this go is a good thing. Sometimes I hold on to like, I'm not just going to give this up. Teach me.
hmm
So that is some really good points on how to work through the justifications. Because a lot of people in the world we see now, they act on it. This is justified. I'm justified in my anger to demand that women have equal rights. And it's like, even just saying this out loud, right? It's like, well, yes, the demand from the angry place causes harm. But once you release all of that and you're acting from, I guess, love, that would that women have equal rights and that we can not demand, it changes where you come from, doesn't it? And then it has a different kind of impact on people. Like,
yeah,
can you speak more about that? Like, what do you feel happens when we're coming from that angry demand, even though the topic is reasonable, like women have equal rights
yeah,
or something?
yeah. I would find that, like, again, in myself, if I was coming from a really angry place, of angry justified place, an activist type place, it
Yes.
ultimately is a little annoying for other people. Um,
Right,
right? It's like
right.
it's kind of like it's really oppressive, it's really confronting, it's really forceful, it's like a little too much because it is. It's because there's a lot of anger coming out in that place of, righteousness and activism, and versus when we can work through the emotions around it and still come to the fundamental truth that yes, women deserve equal rights. You can show up in a firm way that you're not wavering on it, and there's nothing that anybody could tell you to convince you otherwise.
Right,
And,
right.
and you're just not really having it. You're not having it. But if anybody does want to challenge or debate you on that, you can fully enter into that debate and provide a lot of really good information that then all of a sudden maybe somebody can hear because you're not yelling it at them.
Yes.
And there is
Ah,
more possibility and potentiality for change when we're coming from that calm, like a truly calm and firm place, not a contrived calm.
not a
And
contrite, which I
yeah,
was
it's
so good at.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so what I like here is because the anger is covering over fear, then whatever we're acting on from that angry place with the fear, you're not in the place of you're not empowered. It's not an
No.
empowered place, but when you release all of that, you come from an inner conviction and you're actually in an empowered place.
Yeah.
And that it's gotta feel very different. And that's what I'm thinking. When you're coming from anger, whatever you create, it brings back pain because that's the creation, the result. And then whatever you create from um like well basically I'm right now working through a lot of emotions from my own childhood. And I'm beginning to have this strong passion of working with people that were trafficked, sex trafficked, victims of sex trafficking, women and men, boys and girls. I'm beginning to have this strong desire. It's not coming from anger, it's coming from I want them to know that they can be free of this, that this has nothing to do with them. They deserve to be free of the pain. They deserve to be able to regain that sense of humanity and dignity. There's this insight. It's a very quiet place. It's a very so I'm kind of going, oh, there's no anger in this place.
Mhm.
It's just this quiet desire of, I'm really passionate about this topic.
Mhm.
And I want to find a way to be involved in this conversation and mostly be able to help them mostly learn from my experience of don't hold on to the anger. You're going to hurt people you care about. Like this is my own kind of like lesson from working through my own process. And I was just noticing how quiet this place is inside of me, but the passion is strong. There's a lot of love in it instead of rage at um, why is society set up in such a way that this can happen.
Yeah.
So there's a difference. So I'm curious to see the results, when something coming from anger versus love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite dramatic.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a good place to stop for this part of the talk, and then we'll continue at part 3. So thank you for watching.